you're starting to go downhill, you know you're getting close, and then literally you're just walking, you look down to your right and there's this waterfall, like this amazing waterfall, and it's the first one. You just have to stop, like you just stop, you take it all in. It's so stunning. It's literally gorgeous, and you're just like, okay, everything I just did is worth it. Like, this is why I'm here.
Welcome to Experiences You Should Have, your how-to guide for amazing experiences. I'm Gail, your host, and I wanted to say that over the years, I have seen out of the world photos of a waterfall in Arizona called Havasupai Falls. It has the most gorgeous turquoise water, and it's not an easy destination to get to. So I really wanted to interview someone who has been there and really find out how they made it happen. Now, I found Rizzo, a travel blogger from Arizona. She's been to 54 countries, and her goal is to inspire women to solo travel at least once in their life. I highly recommend it. Now, Rizzo is quite the adventurer, and her photos are stunning, like simply stunning. I interviewed her for this episode, and I highly recommend checking out her Instagram page. It's at Miss_Rizzo, RIZZO, or find her website on where'srizzo.com. So Rizzo really walks us through how to make this happen as far as permits, costs, and shares her experience of visiting these falls and the other falls around there. Hope you enjoy. So hi, welcome to Experiences You Should Have.
Glad to be here.
So thanks for being on the show. So you're a 27-year-old adventure traveler?
Yes, I am. Crazy girl.
How did you get into that? Yeah.
So I started traveling alone about 6 years ago. I mean, I've been traveling my whole life as a kid, but about 6 years ago, I started going international alone. And once I did that once to Thailand, I was like, it's a wrap. Like, I know, like, there's nothing else I want to do besides travel, and especially international. I have such like a crave for it.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, I love that. So I saw your photos in the Girls Love Travel Facebook group for the Havasu Falls. Okay, so there's two ways to say it. I see like Havasupai.
It is. It's a little tricky. It's called Havasupai, and it means the people of the blue-green water.
Cool.
So Pai means people. So whether you want to call it Havasupai or Havasu, that's cool. It's really this. I mean, I don't know if you're asking me this yet, but it's this canyon, like in the middle of nowhere, right? And so that's where it got named, basically the people of the blue-green water.
To describe your experience of going to Havasu Falls or Havasupai Falls.
Wow. Like, just like you said, I mean, social media, we have to thank and blame for blowing this place up, actually. Right. So it's kind of a bittersweet movement that social media has been able to capture, everyone's attention with just these beautiful photos, which it is that stunning. So, but I've obviously seen it. I'm an Arizona native, so it's literally technically my backyard. It's kind of one of those things that you take for granted. Yeah. So I've seen these pictures over the last few years, and I knew about it like growing up, but I realized the accessibility that I had to it prior to like social media, like, wow, I would have been up there every weekend, like if it was possible. But so now, I sat there this past year and I kept seeing photos of it, and it was just stunning. And I'm like, this is in my backyard. Why have I not gone? So then I started, getting curious and looking into how do you do it? So I've had friends that have gone, and I know like each year the rules keep starting to change due to like the huge amount of people trying to come, go to it. So I knew that there was a permit involved. So I knew it wasn't going to be that easy to just like get up and go. I knew you needed a permit. So then when I told myself like, my 2019 goal is to go to Havasupai, like I will go to Havasupai. However I do that. So I started looking into it, Googling like how to get the permit. And it pretty much Google directs you right to the Havasupai website. It's like Havasupai reservations, I think it's called. And so once you Google that comes up. It literally brings you to the one and only like true website. And it tells you on there that it basically had said at that point that you need to sign up and have a profile ready because we'll be announcing when we like basically let the permits go. So what they do is once a year. So this past year was February 1st, which it seems to be like, I think it'll always be February 1st, but I can't confirm that. But so February 1st, so I set up like reminders on my phone, like text message, like alarms saying like, sign up for your profile, make sure you're ready. So like leading up to this February 1st date, like the days before I've been like super anxious. Like I have to go to a Starbucks and be on really good Wi-Fi. Like, cause I've heard that it just crashes, right? Because it's like 50,000 people are trying to get on. So I heard it just crashes. So I was expecting that already. So February 1st, 8 a.m., this goes live. And no one really knows. I watched a few videos on how the process is going to be. Because you don't know. You're kind of like going into it blind, right?
Yeah.
And so literally 8 a.m., it's about to open. So I'm at Starbucks at 7:45. Like I'm ready to go. And 8 a.m. it opens. And immediately, like it shifts from saying like, basically just this tab pops up. And it's like, book here, like click here to like book basically. So then you click that and then it times out. So it times out and it's kind of one of those things where you're like, do I refresh it? Do I just wait? Like you do? And it's like, right. I've never been so stressed out. Like I was so upset at the coffee shop. I'm literally upset in Starbucks and I'm doing it for an hour and 45 minutes at this point, like refreshing. And like it would, so I just wasn't getting anywhere. And it just kept saying like, error. Like obviously I know it's crashing. And then I'm seeing people like saying that they got theirs. And now I'm frustrated. I'm like, no, I'm literally like in tears. I don't even know why it was such a big deal for me. But I was like, I was so upset. And I'm like, it shouldn't be this hard, And so about an hour and 45 minutes in, I gave up and I went to my house and I was very upset because I had a workout to get to. So I was like, I just can't wait on the computer any longer. Like I just can't do it, So I get into my house and as I'm like changing, I remember sitting on my laptop was sitting on my bed. I still had it open because I was still trying. And I was changing, getting ready. And then I'm like still refreshing it, So I saw it do something different. And so I was like, oh my God, like it let me pick how many guests I wanted to bring. Because before I couldn't even see that. So all of a sudden it was like, so choose how many guests. So I put 4 and then it timed out and then I'm like refreshing. And I'm like, no. So eventually, long story short, about 10 minutes into doing that, I got in and like, they say ahead of time, like know what date you want, because have in mind, because as soon as you get to that calendar, like once you get to that calendar part of it, you kind of just have to pick something quick, right? Because it'll time out again. Mm-hmm. So finally something opens. I had every intention to go in April because I knew like it'd be perfect weather all around, just be a good time. And so when the calendar opened up, all I had really was, of course, February, because that's when it's like, pretty cold. So February didn't sell out too quick, but then there was just March. So I was like, just picked this random date in March. I knew it was going to be kind of cold, but I just did it. It was done. I like literally did a happy dance. I was so excited. I couldn't even believe like I got it, Yeah. So that was that process. And after like, man, that is so stressful. It should not be that hard.
Right. Oh my goodness. So the time came for you to go. Tell us about how you got there.
Okay. So 4 of us were going. And so we knew that there's 2 border towns basically that are right outside of Havasupai because there's really nowhere to stay around the actual trailhead. Mm-hmm. So there's two cities that you can stay in that are just about an hour away. So we stayed there. There's only like 2 lodges in the whole town. And so we decided, most people like to start early, the hike, like 4 or 5 a.m. kind of thing. So we thought it would be better to drive up the night before, stay in the hotel, be well rested for the morning when we got up there and went. So then it's about an hour drive in, and you don't really know where you're going. It just kind of looks like open desert. And then you arrive at the trailhead and you're like, all right, like this is it.
So you got to the trailhead. Now, how long is the trail to Havasupai?
So the trail is about 8 miles.
Okay.
Till you reach the town. So the town of Havasupai or Havasu. And so you get to the town, and then you have where you check in. And then you have another 2 miles to go down to the campgrounds. So one way is 10 miles. So obviously round trip about 20, but then there's a lot of hiking in between. So
yeah.
Let's say overall we did a lot of hiking.
So were you camping at Havasupai, or was this like a day trip? Like how long was your trip?
The permits changed this year. This is the first year that they did this, to where last year you used to be able to pick, 3 nights or 4 nights basically.
Mm-hmm.
And this year they made it all just easy across the board. It's a maximum basically of 3 nights, 4 days.
3 nights, 4 days. 3 nights, 4 days.
Obviously you can leave sooner than that if you only want to stay a night or two, but honestly your body is so tired that, and it's so gorgeous. Like, you want to stay.
So you're hiking with your tent and water and food and all your camping gear. Like, what is on your back during this 10-mile hike to the falls?
It's honestly crazy because, you are carrying anything that you're going to need for the next 4 days is on your back, literally. And you want to be strategic about it, about packing and what you're bringing, because you think it's nothing because it's on your back at the moment. And you have if you have a good backpack, it's, sitting on your hip, so it doesn't feel as heavy. But once you get 10 miles in, you want to dump it all everywhere. Like, you don't want to carry anything at that point. So you definitely want to be strategic with how you're packing, but definitely light wear. And unfortunately, we were a little bit in the winter still, so we had to bring a little bit warmer clothes and beanies and things like that, which are fine. But I think if you go in the more warmer seasons or months, that obviously you probably only pack like bathing suits, right?
Right.
So, but you have to bring a tent, you have to bring food, you have to bring a way to make the food. So, gas or however it is, they have a lot of, newer camping things that make it pretty easy to light up some lunch and dinner. So you're just carrying all that stuff really, but there are other alternatives. So obviously the hike is free after you pay for the permit. And carrying your own bag, that's all free. But there are alternatives, and there is, you can hire mules basically. So they run mules up and down. The town runs mules up and down a few times a day, and they are allowed to carry up to 4 packs on their back. For a fee, of course. And you do have to reserve that ahead of time. It's kind of just like getting your permit for the actual campgrounds.
Yeah.
Or there's a helicopter that runs in and out. And it's not every day. So you have So because it's kind of like one of those things where like you hike in and you're on like this kick and energy, and it's like all good, and you get there, but when you have to leave, it's like that feeling, like that dreadful feeling of like, oh crap, I have to hike myself back out here. So you almost get to that point where you're like, let me see if like the helicopter is an option.
Right.
But like the days we were there, it wasn't even running. So it wasn't an option.
So tell me about the hike in with your friends. Where are you mentally? How are you feeling? And what it was like when you saw Havasu Falls?
It's pretty crazy. So obviously, it's all leading up to it from the night before, driving up 3 hours up to the canyon, Grand Canyon area, and staying the night, waking up super early, like repacking your stuff kind of. And so you're on this kick in the morning. Like, there's a lot of energy. You're still kind of half asleep because we went at like 5 a.m. So you're still waking up, but you're definitely, when you start, when you get situated out of the car, get your backpack on, get it fitted and stuff, you're on this kick for sure. Like, once you drop down in the canyon, so right when you first start the trail, it immediately goes into switchbacks, and that's probably the hardest part of the trail as far as coming back, because you have to imagine going down is easy, right? And it's just switchbacks, but coming back, and it's the last part of your hike coming out, like it's all switchbacks and it's uphill. So the coming back part, that's the worst part, but going down, you're going down into a canyon. So it's so stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
you almost just forget that anything's on your back. You forget that you're literally about to be hiking 10 miles right now. And you're just soaking it in because it's absolutely amazing. Like it's unreal that you drop down into like a canyon like this. And it's huge. Like the start of the trail is very open, like very, very open. You don't feel like you're in a little canyon yet or anything. So, but you're definitely on a kick. You're on a high for sure. And it's just fun. And, got music playing and yeah, we're just ready. So you just go. And we did a really killer time for sure. But, you want to take breaks throughout obviously you want to make sure to stop when you need water, and you do need water a lot. You want to make sure you're very hydrated, have electrolytes, things like that. So we just take breaks whenever we wanted to pull off, have a little bit of lunch. So it's really like one of those things that it's like about the journey, not so much the destination, even though the destination is like killer. The journey like itself was a lot of fun because it's, we just got to take our time going down there. It wasn't really a race or like nobody's pushing you, like kind of just a fun thing,
Yeah. Yeah. So you first made it to the village before you got to the falls.
Yeah. So
Tell me about this village.
It's so crazy. So right before the village, you're getting close. Like on top of that, we have like a watch, that's tracking our miles. Because when you're down there, one, your phone doesn't work. And two, you don't really know where you're at. There's no mile markers. There's no like, how much is 10 miles? Like who really knows, right? And so when you get down, you're coming close because there's a stream that comes. Like all of a sudden there's like water running water. Like, we're getting close.
Yeah.
You don't want to stop yet. Like you don't want to stop. You just want to keep going. And so you all of a sudden enter this village, and it's like you come down this little hill, and all of a sudden just you can see this village, right? So you're just almost like you want to kiss the ground. Like I made it. So you walk in, and immediately there's this little convenience store that sells Indian fry bread and all that kind of stuff. So everyone kind of stops there for a sec, and you think that you're there, but you're not. You still have to walk another like 15 minutes in just to get to the office to check in. So you walk in, and there's literally a whole life down there. It's a whole little life, and it's very small. I think if I remember correctly, the gentleman said it's a town of 500 people. So they have one little grocery store. They have one little school for the kids, not a high school, just smaller kids. And then they have like it's funny where you go to check in for the permit. They have like their little board of information. So it's very old school, like where something you have to go read that board and there's paper like on the board. Like there's no technology down there by any means. So you check in with the permit. They give you the map. They tell you where you can start from camping, like start your actual campgrounds. Tell you have another 2 miles basically.
Right.
So that's that's the good, in town. That's where you want to basically stock up if you want food or like buy things like that. Cause you don't necessarily go back in and out into town ever again until you leave,
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lodge there as well. So if you don't want to do the camping route, you can stay in the lodge there, which is also something you have to book obviously way ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. So now you've got 2 miles to go to get to the falls. How was that 2 mile hike?
That last 2 miles is so intense. It is so intense because you're almost there and your body just wants to give out like at that point. And I'm fairly in shape. Like I work out 5 times a week. So I felt pretty trained for it. And good to go. But by that last 2 miles, your body just wants to shut down. Like you don't want to carry your backpack. You want to drop it, and so you're getting closer. And then, but we can't start campground until after the park, there's a ranger station that starts the campground basically. So once you get to that, you can like set up almost anywhere. Mm-hmm. But right before you get to that ranger station, like you're starting to go downhill, you're getting close. And then literally you're just walking and you look down to your right and there's this waterfall, like this amazing waterfall. And it's the first one. And it's just, you just have to stop. Like you just stop, you take it all in. It's so stunning. It's literally gorgeous. And you're just like, okay, everything I just did is worth it. Like, this is why I'm here. Right. So that's like immediate reaction. You just stop. Like you have to soak it in to get your pictures, but it's just one of those things that you like can't take your eyes off of. Like, it's so beautiful.
So how many waterfalls are along this trail?
So there are 5 waterfalls.
Mm-hmm.
There's 5. And so the first one coming down, like I said, it's pretty much like right into town and you kind of almost don't even want to look at it because you want to keep going and get to the real ones, right? So there's 50-foot falls. Then there's the Navajo Falls, which is the second one.
Uh-huh.
Then there's Havasu Falls, which is the one I was just speaking about, like like the big dramatic one that you see and you're like, wow. And then there's Moony Falls, which is the largest one, and it is the most powerful one. And then the last one is going to be Beaver Falls, and that one you save for another day, basically, because it's another, I believe it's 4-mile hike. So you just need to give your body a rest and go the next day.
Right.
But Beaver Falls is a really, really great hike to do. So I definitely recommend that one.
Yeah. So Havasu Falls, tell me about what this fall actually looks like. Describe the color.
It's just like I said. So Havasu means, blue-green water, right? It is just, it's almost unreal. Like, how does water even get this color, right? And I remember reading on a sign that it was from like lime deposits, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So I guess it's colored from lime or something like that. But it's just so blue, so green, like the most perfect mixture of blue-green, and it's clear, and it's just beautiful. I'm like, okay, to me, I describe it as a true desert oasis. Like, there's no way that there's these amazing waterfalls that look like this in the middle of Arizona. Like, that's supposed to be a desert, right? Like,
right.
So
right.
it doesn't even make sense to me.
So how long did you spend at Havasu Falls? Did you go swimming there? What'd you do around the falls?
So, so you see that first waterfall, and
so
you want to keep going. So you pass that park ranger, which is just, a couple hundred feet away. Past the park ranger, and you can set up shop. So now you're just looking for the best place to stay in the campgrounds, because I've heard a few things, like during flash flood seasons and stuff, like the water rises. And so if you camp next to the river, you're going to be setting up shop somewhere. Like, your stuff's going to be soaked. So you want to be pretty smart about where you set up. And just obviously there's a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of people there, but there are people there. So it just depends if you kind of want to be like in solitude or if you want to be around people.
Mm-hmm.
So you find your spot that you want to be. You can literally camp and set up shop so close to Moony Falls, which is kind of scary, but some people do. But you can literally camp right next to it. Like, you can wake up, you can go to sleep to listening to the falls. Like, it's so, yeah. So we set up shop. Yeah. So you set up shop and you're just dead. Like, we all had to take a nap. Like, we had to literally, yeah. So we ate immediately, took a nap, and then we went and saw Moony Falls and saw a little bit more of it. But at that point now, the hike took about, I think it was about 4.5, 5 hours. So, and by the time we took a nap, and it gets dark early. So it was beginning of March. So it was getting dark by 8 o'clock, like 7, 8 o'clock. So if it's dark, you pretty much just go to bed and you just call it. Or you play games around like the camp, but there's no fires. There's obviously no electricity. So whatever lights you have is pretty much all you got. So the first night you'll take it easy for sure. You don't want to do any more hiking at that point. Your body pretty much hates you.
Got it. Got it.
So then the next day is when you'll wake up, and of course you want to go see Moony Falls right away. You want to get in it. And so Moony Falls is actually pretty crazy because it's not easy to get to. It's actually really, there's no way it would pass like national park safety. It's like you have to scale down rocks basically and not swings, but like ropes, almost like metal. How do you call this? Like a metal chain you have to like lower yourself down on, and it's it's pretty intense actually, and it's actually pretty scary because if it's rainy season or if there's water that's coming off the rocks itself, so you're scaling yourself down rocks and it's wet.
Slick.
It's very slick and it's very steep, and there's ladders that you have to climb down, and it takes about 15-20 minutes to get down, probably a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to be in that kind of, I don't want to say like shape, but like you do need to be able to, I wouldn't recommend it if, it's hard for you to walk normal, I guess, or like if you feel like you can't hold yourself up kind of thing. I wouldn't recommend going down, but I mean,
got it.
The whole point. So then you get down and you take your photos, and it's so powerful and so beautiful and everything that you would ever think it is. The water is cold, of course, but they do say that the temperature is the same year round. So obviously if you go in the summer, you're going to want to jump in it 24/7 because it's really hot down there.
Yeah.
For us, I definitely still got on the water, but it was a little chilly, but it wasn't too bad. It's actually like that perfect refresher once you're so tired, and it feels great on your body.
Yeah. So what happened next?
So we basically called it a night the first night, woke up the next day, scaled down Moony Falls, and did our photos. And then we decided to do the Beaver Falls the next day. So that same day. So we basically headed down the trail to the last waterfall. And that was such a fun hike. We actually really enjoyed it. Our bodies were still pretty sore the next day. I remember being like in bad shape for sure. Because I didn't really stretch and stuff. And I would recommend that to anyone. Definitely stretch before and after. Else your body just cramps up and you'll feel it. And you're not going to want to hike Beaver Falls or anything else when your body feels so depleted, I guess. So anyways, roughed it out, went to Beaver Falls. It's a beautiful hike. It's so different. It's very unique. A lot of different like terrains, I guess. And you have to cross the water like 5 different times. So you're literally, and that's where you see a lot of the people taking photos in the water, I guess, like crossing, because you have to cross the water. That's only part of the trail where you have, or like in the whole thing where you actually have to cross water to get to it. So I do recommend water shoes for that. Okay. Yeah.
And let's get into some more logistics. So how much did you really need a budget for this entire trip? Like break down the costs for me.
Okay. So the permits are, if you go during the week, it is $100 a night. And if you end up there on a weekend night, it's $125. So we fell on like, I think it was a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So our total permit was $325 for us. So you wouldn't pay more than $375 basically. And that's if you went on the whole weekend, I guess.
Right.
Not Friday, but, and so you could assume that the permit's going to be between $300 and $375-ish, I would say.
Okay.
And then obviously all your gear and your camping stuff. So if you have camping stuff, then you're pretty much set. You know, you have your sleeping bag, your tent. You do need to buy meal ready order or like the dry,
like freeze dry food.
Yes, freeze dry food. You definitely want to bring all those. So that those run about $9-10 each, kind of. Okay. So, and you want to bring enough because and then the hotel the night before was about $100.
Okay.
Gas, which is just standard, but that's pretty much it, really. I did buy water shoes. Like I said, definitely need water shoes. You're gonna want to bring the hiking sticks, the hiking poles. They will save your life.
Okay, hiking poles. Yeah. And then I was seeing if you took a helicopter in and out, it was $85 each way.
Yeah.
For the helicopter, but you couldn't guarantee a seat on the helicopter.
Is that what it said?
Yeah, I was checking it out.
It's something like you have to. It's also like a sign up. You have to do it ahead of time. But yeah, it is $85.
Yeah, so $85 each way. What about the meals? Do you know how much the meals cost?
Yeah, the meals were $180. I believe it was $180 for 4 bags. So 4 people split it.
So $180 for the mules. Now, would the mules save you time at all? Or do you think it takes about the same time to hike?
It definitely is going to take nearly the same time. Obviously, if you don't have a 40 pound pack on your back, like, yeah, it's probably a breeze to just keep walking whenever. So I don't think it would save too much time, more just not stress on your body, but, it would save your body.
Now, are people riding the mules, or are you just using the mules for your stuff?
They just use the mules. So the locals, basically, as you're going down the trail, you'll pull over a few times because a herd of mules are coming at you.
Oh, wow.
Okay. They run them down pretty much like, it seems like they do it mostly just in the morning so much, probably because it gets warm down there and they do it early. But it's basically a local with about 4 or 5 mules in a row, and they all have bags on them. Okay.
Yeah. Now, what if you're coming in from out of town? What airport would you fly into in order to go over here?
So it kind of depends. I mean, obviously, I think the easiest is to fly into Phoenix and just drive up, or you could fly into Flagstaff, which is a little bit out of the way, and just drive over.
Okay.
So I think Flagstaff would be the quickest as far as driving time, but I think the easiest airport to get to in general is obviously the main airport of Phoenix.
Okay, cool.
And that drive is about 3.5 hours, 4 hours.
Got it. And as far as like the gear that you brought, you had to bring in your food, you had to bring in a good backpack. Now, what about water? Was there water along the way where you could use like a life straw to drink from, or did you need to carry all of your own water with you?
So going down, you definitely need to have enough water for yourself because there is no water on the way down. When you actually get into the campgrounds, there's a watering hole basically. So there's this watering hole that is running all day, and people just fill up all their bottles and jugs and stuff throughout the day using that. So you're good once you get there, but you definitely want to be prepared with enough water on your way down. So we brought basically a camelback. We each had a camelback, and then we all had like a jug hanging off our bags, just an extra jug of water. But we didn't even use the whole camelback really.
Okay. Was there anything you need to watch out for, like nature-wise, or?
No, there wasn't at all. I think once Arizona's known for snakes and that kind of stuff, right? And that all comes out in the summer. So in these the warmer months that are about to come up, I would say maybe there'd be a chance that kind of stuff's down there. I think that's just natural. I would totally assume that there's snakes down there, but I really don't know. So
sure.
Yeah.
So you went in March. What are the best times to go see Havasu Falls?
So it's funny because I had no intention. Like I said, I wanted to go in April because it just seems like that's just the best weather in Arizona in general. April, October kind of months. Obviously, once you get into the summer, the May, June, July, August, like I couldn't even imagine being in that canyon during those months. And I know that's like kind of when everyone wants to go, right? Because it's hot. You're going to be living in a bathing suit the whole time. You actually want to be in the water. So at first I was a little like, I wouldn't say upset, but at first I was like, man, we got beginning of March. It's going to be freezing, right?
Right.
But after actually doing the whole experience, I actually said to myself, I was like, wow, I don't know if I'd go any other month. Like, I think I wouldn't go past April, to be honest.
Okay.
On our way out, luckily, when we went down to start the hike, we were in overcast. So we kept our jackets on for the most part. Like, it was perfect weather. But on the way out, we got peaks of sun coming into the canyon on the way out, and it was like killer hot. So
yeah,
it was only March. So I would pass out. I feel like if it was May or June or July.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, do you want to go earlier in the months of the year and have an enjoyable time all around as far as not being too hot but you won't get in the water as much? Or do you want to go when it's like scorching hot, do that hike, and then just always be in the water? Because we didn't get to enjoy the water so much because,
right.
For us.
Maybe if you fly a helicopter in and out during the hot summer months and then go swim.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say, we talked a little bit about this earlier, but I just want to get the final answer on this. Every single show I ask if this experience can be experienced, let's say if you're in a wheelchair or if you have limited mobility. So let's say you were able to fly in via helicopter into the town. So you have that last 2-mile hike. Does that 2-mile hike have handrails? Does it have is it wheelchair accessible at all? If you did have limited mobility, could you get there?
No, I wouldn't even recommend it.
Okay.
You do have to hike that next 2 miles down, and it's gravel, it's ground. So
yeah,
there's no way you could push a wheelchair down there.
And the helicopters aren't going straight to the falls, right? They're going to the town?
Yep. They drop it right off in the town, right in front of the check-in, where you check in for the permits.
Okay. All right. I wonder if the helicopters fly by the waterfalls, if you could go see the waterfall.
That would probably be an amazing view, but I don't think so. They don't go that far.
Okay. All right.
But I'm sure you could see. I don't know. I would assume you could see, but I don't know.
Okay. All right. Just trying to gather information for my listeners. And what about kids? Did you see any kids on the trail?
No. So I did see some younger, they were probably, there's a few boys that sat up shop next to us, and they were probably, 8, 10, 12, maybe.
Okay.
But nothing too much younger than that. I think it even says on the website that they don't recommend children coming.
Okay. Got it. So maybe older kids possibly, or teenagers. This might be a really cool experience. And then, and so it's pretty much 3 nights for everyone, right?
Yep.
That's like 3 nights, 4 days. Now, could you do it shorter? Let's say you only want to stay a night or two.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay the full 3 nights.
You do not have to stay, no. But like I said, I feel like if you hike there, you want to stay. Like you definitely want to get your money's worth, your body's worth, like all that. So, but yes, you can definitely be in and out. You can do it in a day. I even saw someone getting married up there.
Oh, wow.
Taking their photos. So I was wondering, I was like, did they get a permit for this, or how do they do it?
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned on February 1st, you got your permit and you essentially left like a month later.
Yeah.
So would there be any way to get that permit in February for the year later? Or when you get that permit, it's for the upcoming months? Like, how does that permitting work?
So it would be, February 1st, it opens, and you basically have from February 2nd on to the next year, like the next February.
Okay.
And I noticed that obviously everything sold out right away as far as all the other months, but I did notice that there was obviously still permits available for February. And I think I don't know if January was actually open, but there was people left the February ones because they knew it was going to be cold.
Yeah.
So if you really want to go, you can get in on February.
Yeah. And is that water, is it blue green year round, or are there times when it like is muddy or doesn't have that color anymore?
It is that beautiful year round. It's almost unreal.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
And so why do you think others should have this experience?
It's really just one of a kind. Like I said, that desert oasis. And I've ever heard that growing up, and I've never even been able to picture, like, this is what I picture when I say like desert oasis. And it truly was like a test on myself. Like I said, I'm pretty in shape. I'm very active. I love to hike. And it was not, I don't want to say it was a struggle for me, but it really showed myself like, wow, like you just did that. That is crazy. You hiked, nearly 30 miles in a few days. And so it was actually really rewarding as like a person to do something like that. And obviously the destination, or like the actual end point and results, were everything and more. Like it's so,
right.
It's so real. So it's definitely something that I think is just rewarding all around, especially if you actually do it yourself.
Fantastic. And do you have any final tips for our listeners as far as gear to bring, or something you brought that you were really glad you brought, or something you wish you had?
So definitely, like I mentioned earlier, you want to have water shoes. It'll just make life so much easier. You want all terrain, like hiking shoes going down, especially if you are hiking. You're going to want to take care of your feet for sure. And a normal pair of Nikes, like, yeah, you can do it, but your feet are probably going to hate you.
Yeah.
So definitely be smart about your feet, your shoe wear. Water shoes, hiking shoes. You're going to want to have those hiking poles. I'm telling you, they saved my life, saved them, especially going down Moony Falls, and like doing even the Beaver Falls, that last one I told you, that other hike. They'll save your life, especially on the way out. So hiking poles, and then definitely be smart with the food that you bring, the ready meals. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it. Lotion, obviously sunscreen and lotion is a huge one. Like you'll get chapped from the water. So you want to make sure you have enough lotion, and toilet paper, definitely toilet paper. So they have bathrooms there, which is really nice. And they actually maintain them pretty well. And they do restock the toilet paper there, but there are times that there's no toilet paper. So just make sure to have your own, and baby wipes will save your life.
Okay. Toilet paper, baby wipes. And this entire list and links to where you can get these permits, as well as if you want to follow Rizzo on her journeys, will all be on experiencesyoushouldhave.com. Rizzo, truly, thank you for coming on the show and sharing your experience. And would love to have you on another time as you travel throughout the world. And And I'll definitely be following you on where'srizzo.com.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to Experiences You Should Have podcast. If you love this podcast, please give us a positive review on iTunes. Also, if you want to help out, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a coworker, tweet to all of your friends and maybe your enemies and tell them about Experiences You Should Have podcasts. Also, follow us on Instagram at Experiences Podcast. And please check out our show notes at experiencesyoushouldhave.com that contain links, photos, and more info and everything that you would want to know about this experience. Thank you, and until next time.